Hello guys, I'm back with another book reading game. So I have two dice, one as 1 through 4, and then it has like a volcano. The volcano would be an hour, I would assume. So this one is going to be by minutes. So if I land on the 1, it's 10 minutes, the 2 is 20 minutes, 3 is 30 minutes, 4 40 minutes, the volcano is an hour. That is how long the reading sprints have to be. And then I'll roll a 6-sided dice, and this will tell me how many rounds of the reading I have to do for that day. And I will do my best to accomplish it each day. So here's today's rolls for Monday, President's Day, February 20th. We ended up getting some heavy reading for day 1. So 6 sprints total, 30 minutes apiece is what we have for Monday. The books for day 1 are Hang of the Hill by J.T. Ryder and The Vasectomist Trilogy by Tim Eagle. And here are the introductions for these books for Monday the 20th of February. A Bronze Sword Cycle Book 1. And we've actually read this and reviewed it, but now I'm going through and annotating it so I can share some quotes and do a more in-depth review for it because I really did enjoy it. So this is the synopsis for Hang of the Hills. Brennus is destined from birth to become a warrior despite his farmer's life, but when the Hillmen kill his family and annihilate his clan, he swears to avenge those he loved. Brennus must survive endless hordes of invading hillsmen and magic-wielding Saeed. Aided by only a band of shifty mercenaries and an ancient bronze sword, failure means his family and clan go unavenged. Victory will bring glory to Brennus and his ancestors. Hang of the Hill is a historical fiction fantasy novel set in 200 BC on the Isle of Skye, steeped in Celtic mythology and culture. The Vasectomist Trilogy by Tim Eagle. This is an adult book, so I cannot really read the full synopsis, but this was my judgment from what I've written down before I read the book. So the first part, it looks like the husband, he will go to great lengths to avoid having babies and will take drastic measures to ensure his offspring don't exist. And then the second part sounds like it's about his wife and her perspective of what's happening. After all she's been put through, will she reveal a secret at the end? And then the third book sounds like it's from a third person, but you have to read it. This was my initial judgment of the book. So, a man that may have answers that you've only struggled to perceive. So it's a very dark book. It is definitely an adult book. It is exactly 100 pages long. So it is a quick read. I read the first story in the Vasectomist Trilogy by Tim Eagle, and the husband's like coat hanger in his wife when she's drugged up, but then he keeps all the tissue in some weird liquid that he got from somebody who can't get any more from, and he doesn't really know what the liquid is, but it makes them grow, and then he like puts them on his back like leeches and lets them eat. And then like she comes down and she's like, bitch, I knew what you're doing the whole time. And then like the little things like poison him and like paralyze him. So she knew he was keeping their babies in there the whole time, but that they're like little creepy jar creatures. That's wild. All I have to say is wow. Like, I did not think that was going to be as hard as it was. But we did it 6 sprints at 30 minutes apiece. So we did it for Monday. Let's see what happens for Tuesday. I'm kind of worried. Like, so like the worst it could be, right? That's just like, what's the worst it could be? So if I end up getting 6 in an hour every day, 6 hours a day, the 6 days a week, because Sundays are bonus days, 36 hours of reading, that would be a really rough week. And then if I had punishments on top of that, I'd be crying. Hello everyone, it's Tuesday, February 21st, and I'm going to continue with the readathon. I've decided to name it the Rollathon because we're rolling dice and then reading. So I don't know if that's corny, but I like it. So the Rollathon is what we're calling it. The books for today's reading will be Hag of the Hills by J.T.T. Ryder and The Pearl Diver by Jeffrey Talergo. So I'll read the synopsis for these, and then we'll see how far I get and if I'm able to review them by the end of the day or if they're going to carry into tomorrow's roll-a-thon. So the beginning of this, it's actually, he's a younger boy and his dad was a warrior and he wanted to be a warrior too, but his older brother is like, no, you need to get married and have a farm, like, don't do that, it's not great. And then his brother's wife was actually like captured by his brother, and like she grew to love him over time, but she kind of described like how awful that was for her to be stolen from her home and placed in this new house with these people that she's supposed to call family that she didn't choose. And she told him honestly that like, hey, like the beginning of my life with your brother was kind of terrible. So, and it took a long time and some very traumatic things for us to find a good place to be. And so they're all kind of just trying to explain to him that, hey, the life of a warrior isn't as grand as it sounds like. And he ends up dying. I don't think that that's why he ends up changing and getting what he wants, because there's nobody really left to tell him not to. So that is part of the beginning of it, and I'm looking forward to sharing more of it. The next one is The Pearl Diver by Jeffrey Talergo. I have not read this novel before. I was actually just walking through the library and found it, and I was like, you know, it looks like a really good story. I know it's not a newer book, but there's nothing wrong with reading older books either. So here we go. In 1948, a 19-year-old pearl diver dreams of spending her life combing the waters of Japan's inland island. They are shattered when she discovers she has leprosy. By law, she is exiled to an island of leperism, where she's stripped of her dignity and instructed to forget her past. Her name is erased from her family records, and she is forced to select a new one. To the 2,000 patients on the island of Nagishima, she becomes Miss Fiji. Although drugs arrest the course of Miss Fiji's disease, she cannot leave the colony. Instead, she becomes a caretaker to those patients, and through the example of their courage, she gains insight into the depth, a wellspring of strength she will never need to reclaim her freedom. Written with the precision of eloquence, The Pearl Diver is a dazzling meditation in isolated in community, cruelty, and compassion. It sounds absolutely devastating. I remember watching when I was younger, like those Bible stories, you know, where like those like Ben-Hur and stuff, and they had the leprosy colonies, and like that sticks with me. Like, that is terrible to have to just send your loved one away to pretty much like the days before hospice, right? Like, that's what that was. So it'll be interesting to go and like live a different life, or will she need to stay isolated with this community of other people that have leprosy? Like, I don't know, it just really kind of reached out to me, and I was like, I have my dice ready, so let's go ahead and roll and see what kind of reading schedule we're in for today, for Tuesday, the second day of the roll-a-thon. Let the dice decide. So that's today's books, Hag of the Hills and The Pearl Diver. Check-ins are going to be every 20 minutes, and we have 3 sets, so only an hour of reading today. So I went down kind of a darker rabbit hole this morning. I was reading this book, The Pearl Diver by Jeff Talergo, and in this book, the synopsis says that she ends up getting leprosy. And I was talking to a bunch of people like, hey, how do you get leprosy? Or like, is leprosy still a thing? And we all thought that it was similar to the plague. They're like, you get it from rats. I'm like, so actually this is different. So leprosy is now called Hansen's disease. It has a new name after Gerald Hansen. In 1873, he officially discovered leprosy. And so it was changed to Hansen's disease, the name. And then in 2019, the World Health Organization said that there was 200,000 cases and only 1 in 20 caused disabilities. That is still quite a bit considering, but still 1 in 20 is better than just like the hospice situation. So it says that it attacks your skin, mucous membranes, and it can cause skin discoloration and dryness. And if it's left on a person for too long, it can cause blindness, muscle paralysis, vision loss, nerve damage, shortening of fingers and toes, and nose distortion. It is a virus that is believed to be passed through, it's airborne, but they do not know that for sure. In the video that I watched, they said that they were not sure about that, but they believe that's how it's passed, is through the air. So somebody coughs or sneezes. The current treatment, if you are able to catch it early enough, they will give you 2 to 3 antibiotics at one time so that the virus does not become immune to any one antibiotic, and you will do the treatment for 2 to 3 years in the hopes of either arresting the disease, meaning getting it to stop progressing and just staying where it is, or it is also saying that a lot of people are cured from it as well. And I don't know what cured means, if that just means that like they don't have to take the antibiotics anymore. I'm not sure if that actually means like all better, like one time I had leprosy, or if it's like, it sounds like it's pretty life-threatening because it attacks your nervous system. So sometimes they can help and sometimes they can't. So it is not from rats. So somehow this pearl diver got some virus on her. So we'll see what happens. Here is another one that we just received not too long ago, and it is for a book tour starting in March. And it is by Glenn Somedy, and it's called Ollie and the Spores of Oak Hill. And from what I understand, this is book 1. There will be more. And I don't know if you guys saw it in the previous blog, but the author hand-painted with watercolors some of the characters in the books, like little cartoons of them, and gave out 50 of them. So I don't remember which number I have, but I'll put it right here. Isn't it that cute? Like, so, and I was watching on Instagram as he was making some other ones, and I was like, I have this number. Like, I was part of something. I thought that was sweet that he made us all something handmade. So it looks like a really fun fantasy book. It doesn't look like it's going to be too stressful, but we'll see what happens. Here's a synopsis for Ollie and the Spores of Oak Hill, the very first book. When Oliver Ollie Appleton's grandfather dies in a suspicious accident, his family decides to move to Littleton, Massachusetts to care for the family estate. Once there, they discover they need to protect their land from a greedy mall developer, Henry Dalton. Sitting atop Oak Hill, the estate sits in an enchanted wood sanctuary known for unusual activity and superstitions. You okay? You want to come sit with me? You doing it for attentions? Are you okay? No, I don't remember where I was. Oh, I'm sorry, the people. Come here. At least show your cute little face if you're going to interrupt our video. At least if you're going to interrupt the progress. We have a bear who has inverted sneezing. If anybody knows what to do about this, we'd appreciate some help. And he likes to be held like a baby. And now his sister Daisy's getting jealous over here too. So, all right, let me get these dogs under control. Here's the synopsis for Ollie and the Spores of Oak Hill by Glenn Somedy. When Ollie Oliver Appleton's grandfather dies in a suspicious accident, his family decides to move to Littleton, Massachusetts to care for the family's estate. Once there, they discover they need to protect their land from the greedy mall developer Henry Dalton. Sitting atop Oak Hill, the estate sits in an enchanted wooded sanctuary known for unusual activity and superstitions involving mythical creatures. Rumors passed down since the Nunmuck people roamed the land. When Ollie and his new friend Ember run into trouble with school bullies, the creatures known as spores step in to protect them. Through their adventures, Ollie and Ember build friendship with members of the spore community to discover the common goal. They must work together quickly to protect Oak Hill from Henry Dalton or lose their homes forever. It sounds like a comfort read for adults, but definitely a Bobcats Publishing, LLC, by Glenn Somedy, like we said, an American author with a mission to find anyone who enjoys reading his stories as much as he enjoys creating them. I don't know, it really reminds me of some of those mythical little shows where like they had the people mixed with like the fantasy. So this is one that comes to mind right here. It's a good one. Check it out. It's a movie, but it does, I haven't read this book, but just first off, like first glance, judging the book by its cover and by the synopsis, I think that they will be similar. Reinvest myself to become the captain of the football team or the new class president at the new school. The thought faded away as I realized I had no athletic